Hello, good day everyone. I've been asked recently about how calculating honours WAM works, so here I've just got a brief presentation on how it works. Okay, so the first thing is understanding the honours classes. So there's three that get recognized: class 1, class 2 div 1, class 2 div 2, and these are the threshold numbers. So you need at least 80 honours WAM to get class 1, you need at least 75 honours WAM to get class 2 div 1, and then you need at least 65 honours WAM to get class 2 div 2. For all of these classes, you need 65 plus in Thesis. Come on. Okay, in terms of the actual calculation, so on the left here, you can see like how you calculate a normal WAM, which is done for you basically, is you sum the mark and multiply it by the units of credit, divided by the units of credit. But for the faculty WAM, it's the sum of the mark times the units of credit times the weighting over the units of credit times the weighting, which is really confusing basically. Firstly, let's simplify it. So for the majority of courses, except for Thesis, which I'll talk about in a second, the units of credit are 6, so it kind of cancels out from the top and the bottom side. So it will more or less just be the mark times the weighting over the weighting. Gen Eds are weighted as 1. Any course which starts with 1 is weighted 1, but Maths 2018 is also weighted as 1 for some reason. And then 4th year courses are weighted as 4. So this is any discipline elective, including any that you might do, which starts with a 9. It also includes building information modeling, which has a course code 2170 or something. It's weighted as 4, so keep that in mind. In terms of Thesis, there's basically 3 variations of Thesis that you can choose. You might not have heard of the third one. First type is coursework Thesis, which have these course codes. The total units of credit is 12. You'll see what this looks like in the calculator later. The research thesis is basically 12 units of credit spread across 3 subjects now. So I'll tell you the best way to do that in a second as well. Higher research thesis, basically you double the units of credit, means you can double down on your thesis. Like if you really want to get a first class honors and you're like, the only way I can possibly get a first class honors is by doing higher research thesis, then go for it. So this is a spreadsheet that I set up. You might want to set up something similar yourself. Okay, so here all I've done is formatting. These are all, there's no formulas that you can see so far. How you might want to set it up is in terms of like these columns, right? So all your first year subjects you might want to list down, and then have a column for your mark and then a column for the weighting, and then you'll have one for the mark multiplied by the weighting, and I'll show you why this is important in a second. Here specifically I'm calculating it for double degree with computer science just to show you how it will work, because this will be slightly more complicated than doing it for a single degree. Let's just say we punch in a bunch of marks. Okay, so now we've got a bunch of marks that we've populated with, right? Next thing is the weighting. Right, so for first year subjects, everything's weighted as 1. Right, second year subjects, everything's weighted as 2. So you might notice I'm not doing the units of credit here, and that's because like the units of credit for each subject is 6, right? So everything cancels out, except I'll tell you what I do for thesis, okay? All right, and then next is mark times weight. Here I'm clicking on this cell, and I'm pressing equals to make a formula in Excel, in case you're not used to it, and then you click on the cell that you want. So here I've clicked on B2, and then you multiply it by C2, right? So I've done asterisks to multiply. Click here, press enter, and then it does this formula for you. So here times here. And when you click on this cell, in the bottom right of the cell, you can click and drag. And this will basically mirror the formula for all of these as well down here. Another way you can kind of do like a dynamic formula copying over is you can highlight the cell of the formula you want to copy, and then press Control C to copy. And then you click over here, for example, and press Control V. And what this does is it now does like a smart switch, right? We're now considering G2 multiplied by H2, right? So you can do the same thing, copy, click, drag, paste. You can do the paste version, or you can do the click and drag version, up to you. So basically I've just populated every single cell with the mark times the weight for that. Okay, the next thing to note is all of these like other subjects, let's say you're doing this double degree, basically don't count to your honors or your faculty WAM for engineering, right? So if you're doing comp sci, comp 1521, for example, doesn't count. Comp 1511 counts because for most engineering degrees, this is actually Eng 1811. Okay, so it's the equivalent. The others don't count. Okay, so comp 1521 is weighted as nothing, so there's no weighting, right? So these basically don't do anything. And that's true for everything here. So we can just ignore it, right? Including physics, which is pass-fail. So to actually figure out the honors WAM, you go to another cell that you might make, and what you want to do is you basically want to type equals sum, open bracket, and now you can click and drag to get a range of numbers basically, right? So we're gonna select the cells under the mark times weight. Press comma when you want to do like a different range. So that first range that I click and drag is for the first year subjects, and then comma every time you want to split it up like so, okay? And so I've got 4 ranges now, so you can see the colors. And I'm going to press closing bracket, okay? And then slash, this means divide, right? And we're going to do another sum. All right, and then we're going to do open bracket again. And then this time we're going to do it by the weight. So pressing comma every time, right, like so. And then closing bracket. And now I've calculated, I have a 65.9 honors WAM, which means I'd get a class 2 div 2 honors, okay? Let's talk about thesis, right? So if you're doing coursework thesis, you can just do this and it's correct, right? But let's say you did research thesis, right? If you did research thesis, what you might want to do is turn it into one row, and then you want to change the weighting to 8, right? So this is because when you do research thesis, you don't actually get a mark until the very end, right? Like a final mark. If I did my research thesis and I got 90, for example, in the research thesis, it's gonna, since it has a high weighting, it's gonna significantly bump up my honors WAM. Let's say I did higher research thesis, right? So higher research thesis, and let's say I actually got 95, right? Just we're in La La Land now. And the weighting is actually 16 because it's worth double the units of credit. Now I've bumped up my honors WAM super, super high, and I've made it into the next honors class. Oh no, I haven't actually, it's 75. All right, if I pretend that I did really well in these other ones. Okay, now I've made it into honors class 2 div 1. Okay, I've stopped with the effects, by the way, it was getting annoying. For civil and architecture, here's some rules which is listed on the page. Because this isn't quite a double degree, it just swaps a few things in and out. So you can just, you know, substitute these accordingly. Okay, for civil and any other degree that you might have, if you Google engineering progressions check sheet, you want to scroll down to the year which you started your degree, you want to find your degree, and you want to find the weighting of each course, right? Let's say I started in 2025 and I did engineering honors in computer science, right? You click that drop down and you find your degree. Let's say I did civil engineering and comp sci. And it brings up this page, and then you can find all of the units of credit, as well as when it says level 1, level 2, level 3, that tells you what the weighting is basically for everything. So you just follow this as a guide. All right. Oh, that's it. Okay. Okay. All right. Thanks. Bye.